Hi everybody, this is Kate and Adam with the Florkens. If you are here because we are doing our Q&A first time home buying vlogging experience that we are co-hosting with Amber from Mr. Thomas and Me and Margaret from Life After Athens. So we're doing this because we've had some questions about buying our first home and the process and whole 9 yards from a lot of people. And we wanted to give everybody a chance to ask their questions and get answers from 3 different perspectives. So Amber and her husband closed on their first home about a month ago. Adam and I closed just this week on ours. And Margaret and her husband are closing next week. So you have 3 different families and 3 different kind of parts of the process. 3 different parts of the country, obviously. So by getting answers from all of us, you're just going to get a really good idea of what the experience is going to be like, no matter where you're at. So we took questions from the internet and from email and things like that, and we're just going to pump them out at you. Okay, so the first category is before you start looking. 3 questions in this category. The first one, how did you know when to start looking? I'll take that one. That, for us, we actually started looking at houses right when we got back from the honeymoon, but not to buy necessarily. We started looking at houses just to gauge the market. We would get up on a Sunday and go to get coffee and tea and go for open houses for a couple hours. We really just wanted to see what the market was like and what you got for your dollar in different neighborhoods in different parts of town. That was really important to us. And we didn't really have a set time of like, we have to have a house by this month or we're going to put an offer in by this month or anything like that. It was more of when we found the right house, we both just knew it. We walked in, it was great, and it was one of those, yeah, we would do it for this house. Like, this is the house for us. So I think when you know. And I know that sounds really bad. That sounds weird, but you do. You'll know when it's the right time. Okay, the second question Adam can take. It was, how did we find our realtor? Adam?
So Kate was pretty avid about looking at houses for a long time, and she was just trolling through all of the real estate websites. And then she would show these various houses to me, and she showed me one, and we went and we looked at it. And we didn't really like the house that much, but we liked the person that was listing it. She was very attentive. She talked to us. She gave us advice. And she was all around just really nice and seemed pretty genuine. So we decided to keep working with her, and she just kind of became our real estate agent.
Yeah, make sure you vibe with whoever it's going to be, because after you put in an offer on a house, you're going to spend a lot of time talking with your realtor and emailing with your realtor and texting with your realtor. So make sure it's somebody that you really like and that they get your personality. Okay, the last question in this category, we got to move through these. There's lots of them. How did you figure out your budget to make sure that you could afford the house? Okay, so there's a lot of different things on this on the internet about how to figure out what you can afford. And if you ever go and apply for a mortgage, they're going to tell you that you can afford way more than what you really can. They told Adam and I that we could buy like a $500,000 house. That's ridiculous. We can't buy $500,000 house. We didn't buy a $500,000 house. They just approve you for like 25 million times more than what you need. Whatever, I exaggerate. But so what we did is we started from a baseline of what could we afford every month? What were we comfortable with as a monthly payment? And that was going to include mortgage and taxes and insurance for the house. Because they build a little escrow account for that. And so we wanted that total payment to be something that was well within our comfort zone. And so we picked kind of this was what we'd be most comfortable with. We could afford this every single month, no matter what. And then we went in and said, with this amount, what would our mortgage be? Like, what would you loan us? And that gave us a much, much more realistic idea of what we could afford. So I would suggest that. There's a lot of different ways out there to figure it out, but for us, that was the baseline. Okay, second category is the actual house hunting process. So what is essential to ask when touring or viewing a property? Adam, do you have some essentials?
No, I don't actually, because I'd never bought a home before, so I didn't know exactly what to ask. I just kind of let them throw information at me. I mean, there was basic stuff, like is there indoor plumbing, things like that. But I'm really ignorant to this whole process, so I didn't know. I didn't have any basic questions.
I think some of the essential questions to ask, a lot of insurance companies base your actual insurance rate on the age of the roof of a home, and I didn't know that. But and in fact, some companies won't insure a roof that's older than so many years. So before you could even get insurance on your house, you'd have to have a roof replaced in some circumstances. So I'd ask always how old the roof is. That's important. If you see in a house that it looks like something weird's going on, like flooring doesn't match, or like one appliance sticks out like a sore thumb or something, or a wall just looks funny, I don't think it's a bad thing to ask, were there any renovations? Was there, an insurance claim? Or was there something wrong with the house? Was there damage at some point that something had to be done that just like this one area doesn't match the rest? So I think those are all good questions to ask. And you're going to learn so much more about the house as you go through the process anyway. So don't sweat it on the front end that much. Okay, second question in this little part is, what is the biggest tip for house hunting that you took away from the whole process? Do you have a biggest tip?
Biggest tip for house hunting? Probably just to ask a lot of questions.
Don't be afraid to feel stupid, I think.
Yeah,
Right?
I'm really stupid. So I had to ask a lot of questions that I didn't have any clue about. I basically said, explain it to me like I'm a 10-year-old. It's probably the biggest thing,
Yeah, I'd say so.
You don't know unless you ask.
No, and the people that you're going to be working with, your lender, your real estate agent, your insurance agents, whole 9 yards, these people do this day in and day out. And so it's their job to explain it to you. And if someone rolls their eyes or makes you feel like you're an idiot for asking a stupid question or what they think is a stupid question, then you don't need to be working with those people. Because there are plenty of other people out there that won't roll their eyes and make you feel like an idiot. And those are probably people who deserve your business. Okay. The next category is the mortgage. And I'm going to handle all these questions because I did pretty much all the mortgage stuff on our end because I'm OCD crazy like that. Okay, so the first one is, how much of a down payment did you put down and what kind of a loan did you get? Adam and I actually did a kind of unique loan situation. I didn't know this existed until we talked to our lender. It's something called lender paid PMI. PMI is property mortgage insurance. So if you don't have 20% to put down on your home, then you have to pay an extra insurance on top of your insurance, if that makes sense. It's like insurance for insurance. So basically, you're considered risky if you can't put down 20% on your home. Well, 20% is a lot of money. $100,000 home, 20% is, what, $20,000?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so that's a lot of money, and not everybody has $20,000 in the bank, and that's just for a $100,000 home. So you go up from there, it just gets more. A lot of people in this economy don't put down $20,000. 20%. Adam and I couldn't put down 20%. But that PMI insurance that's added on there every month, that extra insurance that's called PMI, that can add anywhere from like $80 to like $200 to your mortgage payment every single month. And that's just going down the drain. So what Adam and I did was a pretty unique situation. We both have really good credit. And so we were able to already qualify for a pretty low interest rate, right? So we did something where we said, okay, we qualify for this interest rate, but you're going to give us an interest rate here, just a little higher. And in exchange for us paying a slightly higher interest rate, you're going to pay all of our PMI for us. All of it, up front, and we don't have to touch it. And so even though we didn't put down, we only put down like 5% on our house. So even though we didn't put down the 20%, we don't have that extra payment every single month, but we do have a slightly higher interest rate. Now, the reason we agreed to that, because you're thinking, why would you want a higher interest rate? Is because any interest that you pay on a home like that, you can deduct from your taxes the next year. All the interest gets deducted. So pretty much any interest that you pay on your home, you get to write it off as if like you didn't make that money. That comes off your income. So it makes it look like you earned less so that you have to pay less taxes. So it actually it worked out best for our financial situation to not incur the extra cost that just went down the drain every month for insurance, and to actually get that back in the form of better tax rates. So if that's something that sounds interesting to you, you may want to talk to a lender about lender paid property mortgage insurance.
Yep.
Lender paid PMI. Okay. Next one. Is there a list of necessary questions you should ask about mortgages? Yes. There's a lot of necessary questions in my point of view. 1, can you afford it? 2, is it ever going to change? Is there going to be a time when they're going to come in and mess with your mortgage? Are they going to come in and change? So there's things called like balloon rates and things like that. Know what your mortgage payment's going to be today and know what it's going to be in 10 years. You may not stay in your house for 10 years, but you need to know what that's going to be. Other than that, I think that you just have to have a really good relationship with your lender. Our lender was a guy named Lee. I called him all the time. We would email back and forth. I think I even had his number on my phone, and we would text on occasion. You just have to have a relationship with these people, and if they don't want to build those types of relationships with you, like I said, they don't deserve your business, because buying a home is a huge thing, and it's a big investment, and you really need somebody who's going to work with you on that.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Okay, so the next category is after you buy. First question is, what was the home inspection like?
It was just kind of sensory overload. They're going to, if they don't warn you up front, they probably should. They're going to hit you with a lot of information. And there's going to be things that they indicate if it's a used home at all. Just indicate things that are up with it. But those things are to be expected. So don't kind of get bogged down, I guess, by all the information that they're throwing at you. Just kind of be ready for it. There's going to be some glaring things that may pop up. But for the most part, there's going to be little dings and stuff like that in an older house. So just don't get bogged down by the details, I guess. Pay attention to what might be really severe. But as far as just a bunch of little things, I guess don't get bogged down by the number.
Because there's always time to fix those little things.
Yeah.
If it's not something like the roof is caving in, but they tell you like this outlet needs to be replaced eventually, or this would need to be painted, or you may have to whatever. Little things like $50 and under projects that aren't pressing, it's fine. Like, don't freak out over it. Okay. Next question is, any tips on how not to freak out the entire time? So I guess I kind of started that one. Just breathe. I freaked out too. We actually had some problems with some of our inspections. We thought the age of the roof was one age, and then inspections came back and it was actually another age, and then we had someone come out to the roof and they gave us yet a different age for the roof. So we had a lot going on, and it is easy to flip out and just be like, oh my gosh, I want this over with, because the worst thing about buying is that you can't be there. So there's all these people that want to come inspect the home, that want to look at the home, that want to do their thing at the home, and you don't even have keys yet. So you can't even give them the authority to get into the house. You have to go through your agent, who then goes through the listing agent, who then goes through the seller, and it's a mess. So just realize that so much of it is out of your hands, and that you just have got to relax. And I always suggest wine for helping relax, but that's just me. Okay, any moving tips for after you buy, Adam? Moving tips?
I like to decorate in a very minimalist style, just because I like to be pragmatic and I don't want junk in the way. So that inherently makes it easier to move if you have less stuff.
So you suggest getting rid of your stuff before you move?
Yeah, we had a yard sale. A lot of it was her stuff, but
so we made a lot of money off my stuff.
Yeah. I would just say every time you go over to the house, take a box. That would probably be the simplest thing, because we've already went over to that house twice and we didn't take a box. But if you just think, if we did every time, little by little, the routine trips you make over to that house in the process of moving from point A to point B, that is if you're moving somewhere in the same city. If you're not, then you're SOL in that category. But do that. If you don't want anything to get dinged, have a bunch of people to come help move the heavy stuff. Don't try and have
I've done that in past moves.
manpower.
I didn't, because you pay movers by like the hour and by what they have to get. So in past moves, I've paid movers just to come get the big stuff, the beds, the dressers, the sofas, things like that. And we've moved all the boxes and all that kind of stuff. It was just, you come get the big crap. So I'm not sure if we're going to do that this time, possibly, but I definitely think that it's a good idea.
Yeah, we might do that.
If you have a lot of big stuff. Yeah. Okay, last question in this category, and then we've only got one more category. Last question, this one is, in regards to renovations, how do you decide what things to do yourself and what not to do? I think a couple things on this. One, you do need to step outside your comfort zone and I think be adventurous. You have a house. It's yours now. You're responsible for it. And, it's fun to take ownership of something, it's fun to get in there and to experiment. And guess what? Like, if the paint job sucks, you can repaint it. Like, barring you like really, really effing something up, it's going to be okay. And so I think that, if it's minor, if you can pull up a YouTube how-to video on it, or something, find a good tutorial for something kind of small, if it's building a shelf or something like that, go ahead. Now, we're doing an entire kitchen remodel, and no, we did not tear down the wall by ourselves. We did have a wall torn down yesterday and today, and it's down, and we hired a contractor to do that because A, it required permitting, and B, it required like hoisting this big beam into the ceiling to support the wall because it was a load-bearing wall. So, no, we can't do that by ourselves. So I do think that you have to find your limits and know when to hire the job out. But I also think that it's fun to jump in there and do some things yourself. Even things that you may not be super comfortable with. They've got classes at home improvement stores, and Adam and I are going to do a lot of things ourselves. We've got family that can help us. And if you like put a nail through your hand, you should probably stop and call for help. But other than that, you should try it by yourself.
Not with the hand that you put a nail through, though.
Right. It may be painful to dial with that hand.
If you're still watching at this point, congratulations.
Okay, last question. Hold up. I have to pull my phone back up.
By congratulations, I mean, what are you doing?
Okay. Last question. What parts of the buying process overall made you most nervous? Most nervous. What made you most nervous?
Just, I don't know, any change in your life, something like this. Like they say, a house is the biggest investment you'll ever make. For someone who's rented things until this point, if something goes wrong, you call your landlord. Now you have to be the person in charge of it. You have to, make sure you pay property taxes every year and things like that. It's just, things like that make you nervous. But honestly, I'm not going to give you advice on how to stay calm. Like, you're all adults. You know exactly how to keep yourself calm, hopefully by this point. But just, I don't know, it's a change, and you're going to be uncomfortable. Anytime any sort of change comes up, you're going to be uncomfortable. Just know that this is a natural next step in life, I guess.
What made me most nervous was just the finality of it. It was one of those, like, once we put in the offer and everything was accepted and we were moving forward and we had a closing date, I knew that there was still time to back out. Not that I wanted to, but it was just the finality of it weighed on me. Like, so this is it. Like, we made a decision. And that can be scary. I'm not very good with decisions. In fact, I'm pretty indecisive. Like, I can't even pick what I want for dinner most nights. That's why he takes care of it. So it is hard and it is scary. But, I think you can do it. We did it, and we're pretty in-depth at most things that we do. Inept. That's what I mean.
We're pretty in-depth?
Yeah, see, I can't even talk. So we're inept at most things we do, including vlogging. So thank you for sticking with us. If you have any more questions, you can put them in the comment section. And be sure to check out Amber and Margaret's vlog as well. Bye, guys.
Toodles.